concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Just giving you a look at my awesome racing. I did these flights today, and I am getting prepared for an upcoming race at Freedom Hills Campground here in Tennessee, the week of the 15th. It is on Knoxville Multi-GP Racing's Multi-GP page. I'm pretty sure it's still open. If you decide to come, you could come. I'll be there. A whole bunch of other cool people will be there. People much faster than me. But I'm going to actually do something different this time and attempt to prepare instead of just showing up the day of the race and just doing my best. And I'm only showing you this footage because I'm flying the 533 Tiny Trainer. That's a 3-inch quadcopter made by Evan Turner's company. Project 533? No. I always want to call it Project 533. I don't think that's actually what it's named. But, yeah, ooh, almost hit that flag. And I was flying yesterday a 5-inch quadcopter, a racing drone. And, well, I feel like I was not doing as well as I could. I tried various things. I tried tuning. I tried turning down the rates. I tried adjusting this and that. I even tried a throttle limit. Take it down to 85% throttle to make it easier to manage throttle in the turns, because how often are you really hitting full throttle, especially on a little course like this? I tried a lot of things, and I could not really get that thing to fly the way I wanted it to. Oh, I'm sure in time I would have, but today this was the only racing drone that I had. All my other ones are freestyle drones. I took it out. Hey, it's a tiny trainer, so it should be good for training. And I feel like I've had a lot more control Just a lot more control. I bet my laps were faster. I don't have a timing system. I actually ordered a timing system today to get that going. But okay, that's the end of the pack. Yeah, that's the end of the pack. I was pretty happy with it. So if you want to check that out, you can get the build kit from this. I swear this is not a plug, but I just thought as long as I was feeling good about it, I would tell you what it was. This is the FPV Crate Tiny Trainer 3-inch. You can build one, and I just continue to be impressed by this little quadcopter. It's durable as heck too. I beat the crap out of it for the whole session, and did not. It just kept coming back for more. Eventually, the props started to wear out, but overall, it was pretty good. So, more yaw, and always keep the obstacle in the middle of the cam. Yeah, I mean, skadoosh, easy to say, hard to do, right? Easy to say, hard to do. I'm working on it. Stick time is the key, as always. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Ghost Branch, I got the verified tick a few months ago on YouTube, the verified tick. I've had it for a little while, but you may have only just noticed it. Yeah, I set that course up with a couple of elements, because obviously I didn't set up a whole racetrack on my little field, but I set that course up with a couple of elements that I've run into on other courses that have made me struggle. I feel like you can get a lot done with a little double gate and a little stacked gate, maybe. And yeah, we'll see. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. It is Monday night. It's time to talk about, well, really whatever you want to talk about. On Tuesday night, me and It's Blunty do the news, where we talk about what we think is important. But on Sunday and Monday, it's a Q&A live stream where I take your questions. And I even dressed up for this one, because I don't want to drink Ruby Grapefruit White Claw in no t-shirt. No, actually, my son had a doctor's appointment this morning. Nothing, just a normal checkup. And I don't know why, but I always feel like when I go to my kid's doctor, I want to dress up. Like, I don't want the doctor to think I'm a terrible parent. In, like, a t-shirt. So I always, like, wear a nice shirt. I say I always wear a nice shirt. Usually my wife takes him to the doctor. When I say always, I mean today. I wore a nice shirt today. That's the end of that story. I did it for you. Blind FPV, I certainly appreciate your big donation to get something better than White Claw. I just haven't been out of the house yet. So I'm drinking another White Claw. It is what it is. It is what it is. Seamus Conlon, I did not eat any deviled eggs today. I think you're referring to this. You're just hearing my chair move. See? That's just the chair, dude. Take it easy. Adam S., great question. In your video about the DJI FPV drone, you mentioned the 1200 milliwatt mod. Is that just for the goggles, or is there a hack to increase the output power for the DJI drone as well? Adam, the hack is for the air unit and the Vista. You put the hack into the goggles, but it applies to the air unit and the Vista. The DJI FPV drone, there isn't a hack to increase its output power, but it has pretty good freaking range anyway. So, this is dressed up for me, B-Man FPV, a button-up shirt. Yeah, this is dressed up. Say what you will. I mean, I do have dress shirts. I probably don't have a suit jacket that actually fits me anymore. It's been that long since I had to wear a suit jacket. Here's what's going on. If you're new here, oh great. Now every time I move in the chair and the chair creaks, I'm going to be self-conscious. Time to get a new chair. Here's what's going on here. This is my main screen right here. I will be monitoring all of your delicious chats. Your beautiful, wonderful chats. Ciati FPV wants to know, have you had a chance to fly the AM32 ESC yet? I have, Ciati. I have. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Giz FPV wants me to do Bach Grinder's Salvia Challenge. I laughed my ass off at that video, Giz. Bach Grinder did a video saying flying FPV on Salvia. He takes one hit of Salvia. And I'm like, I don't think that's possible. I've seen YouTube videos of people smoking Salvia, and there is no... Anyway, he took one hit, and then he lay down, and he just was gone for a little while. And then he got up. I was like, all of the people who were going to call the FAA on him for flying under the influence, joke's on you. He never got in the air. Oh, my goodness. It was pretty funny, though. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be taking your questions here in the chat. I'm also going to be paying attention to these wonderful people. And they're so wonderful. They're extra wonderful because they're my patrons. Over at patreon.com, there's a link in the video description to my Patreon page. These beautiful people pay me as little as $2 a month. That's all it costs to get my love. No, I love you all, but I love them more. That's all it costs, $2 a month or more if you feel like I've earned it. However much you feel like, you can subscribe there, and you get to be in here in the Discord with these. Look at all these resources, all the things you could be doing. See, look at all these things. Anyway, I hear Mr. Steele started a Discord server. That's interesting. Not Project 399, Princess FPV Drones. Evan Turner's company is 533. But I always want to call it Project 533 because of Project 399. So, Miguel Santiago wants to know, are you announcing the DJI winner tonight at 12 or tomorrow at 12? Honestly, I don't know. Oh, one more thing. I got to say one more thing before we go. If you want to make sure I get your question, because many questions are going to go by without me seeing them. If you want to make sure I get your question, hit the $ right here, and you will get your question called out right here. No super chats yet. There's still time for you to be the very first super chat. Just hit that $, and leave your question there. Do it on stream. How to enter the giveaway. So the giveaway of the DJI drone, I have to look. When did I say the cutoff date was? Because obviously I can't do the drawing before the cutoff date. Aaron Ciotti was wondering about the AM32 ESC. Ciotti, this is what I put my AM32 ESC in. This guy here. And what I'm about to say does not reflect on AM32, but the ESC died. The front right motor is missing a FET. It'll hover, but if you hit the throttle, it just falls out of the air and rolls toward the front right motor. In my opinion, that doesn't reflect on AM32. It reflects on you put a 20 millimeter ESC in a racing drone, and it takes some hits, and then it dies. Maybe this particular ESC is not very good. Maybe I'm unlucky, but it's dead. It died. I thought it flew fine. I didn't think it was magic. I didn't do a lot of... I was just trying to get some laps in, though. So that's the answer. Kevin McCarty, link to the Patreon in the video description. Let's take a look here at this giveaway. I am giving away a DJI FPV drone combo as this month's new product roundup. Every month I do the new product roundup, and I give away one of them. And I thought, well, actually, where's the cutoff date? April 6th. So the cutoff date is midnight, April 6th, 2021. It is currently April 5th. So that will be midnight tomorrow is how you read that. Midnight is the end of the day. In my opinion, it is. So it'll be, that's how I meant it anyway. It'll be end of the day tomorrow. So there is still time to enter. You can find the entry link if you're interested. And by the way, I know that a lot of people don't want this prize. Here's the link to the video. You can enter there to get to this giveaway. I know that a lot of people don't want this prize. I mean, some people do. I don't care if you sell it. In fact, a lot of times for these prizes, especially because it saves on shipping, I'll just offer, like if the guy is in, Indonesia and it's going to cost $300 to ship the prize to him, then I'll be like, hey man, can I just give you cash and then you just figure it out? I don't know. Sometimes people are okay with that. I always make sure everybody gets their prize at the end of the day. I cover shipping, but sometimes people just take the cash. But I'm not going to be doing that for the DJI FPV drone, and the reason is that I joined the DJI affiliate program, and they only pay out in store credit. They don't pay cash. They pay store credit, which I didn't know. So when I did my review of the DJI FPV drone, I put a link to the DJI store. I was like, a lot of people are going to buy straight from the DJI store, especially international customers aren't going to buy from a U.S. retailer. So let's just, let's get in there. And people did. And now I have like $800 in store credit at the DJI store that I have. I mean, I guess I could just buy a bunch of Air units or Vistas or something. But I was like, okay, let's just do this. Let's give away a $1,200, $1,300 combo. But at the very least, you can keep the goggles, right? Sell the drone if you don't want it. Keep the goggles, buy some Air units, do whatever you want to do. But I will not be offering you cash because I'm buying it on store credit. It's pretty cool. If someone gave me one for free, I wouldn't throw it out. But if someone gave me one for free, I might sell it for $500 and keep the goggles. Can I exchange the DJI FPV drone for a Mavic? Richard asks. I mean, Richard, if you're the winner and you're like, can I have a Mavic Mini instead? I don't care. It's the same amount of money to me. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Quadenstein, I'm probably going to be ordering it from the DJI store. Like I said, since I'll be using this store credit to buy it. So, yeah. No. Bobby Bags. Affiliate links usually pay cash. The DJI affiliate program for the DJI store is store credit only. Anyway. Can we trust Banggood for purchases as expensive as DJI goggles? Asks Grin Inventor. Grin Inventor, I would certainly hesitate. The reason I say that is specifically the V1 DJI goggles. Banggood had them on sale, took a bunch of people's money, and then there was a big delay and they weren't shipping. They didn't have them. They sold them before they had them, and then they didn't get them. And a whole lot of people could have spent their money at a different store and gotten the goggles weeks sooner. And Banggood was giving them the runaround, not shipping the goggles, not exactly returning their money either. It was a real freaking debacle. There are times when it's the right thing to do to shop at Banggood. There are certain times when a product is legitimately less expensive there. There are times when, especially if you consider shipping and import taxes, Europeans, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of times shipments from Banggood like slide through customs and you don't get that 17% tax. So there's reasons to order from Banggood. There are some products that just aren't available anywhere else. But if you have access to a local vendor that for a product as expensive as the DJI goggles and in short demand, I would definitely buy local if you possibly could. So let's see here. Is the Diatone Roma F5 good for a beginner? Asks Kef. I think that it is a really good quadcopter, especially for the price. It is not quite as durable as I think the iFlight's Sedora SL5E or the Nazgul V2. I think they're just a little more durable, but it flies really well and it's lightweight. Yeah. I wouldn't steer you away from it if you were leaning that direction. I think For a straight beginner who's going to crash a lot, I think I might be like, 52% towards the Nazgul or the Sedora and like 48% towards the Diatone. But it's pretty close. The Diatone definitely has some advantages. How critical is it to calibrate your receiver module, specifically the TBS Fusion? We're talking about a video receiver module. And you do that calibration. There's in the menu a calibration routine. It's extremely critical, Vic and Air. The calibration is how it's calibrating the internal like noise level and signal strength of the two receiver modules so that it can decide when to diversity switch between them, which one's stronger and which one's weaker. Now, oftentimes they'll ship calibrated, pre-calibrated, but I wouldn't assume. I always calibrate my analog receiver modules when I first get them. It's easy to do. But you would if you don't calibrate, if it's not calibrated correctly, then you will run into problems with diversity switching. It won't work as well as it could. Got my DJI V2 from Newbie Drone today. It says 88 under 88. Yeah, hope you love it. Hope you love it. Mads Tech, good to see you here, Mads Tech. Very, very. I'm a big fan of your content you're making. Let me make him a moderator. Mads Tech is now a moderator. He says in the old days you could get cash from DJI, but it took months. My account still pays out cash, but it took 4 months last time I did it. The DJI affiliate scheme is massively limited. Yeah, unfortunate. But what are you going to do? Because at the end of the day, a whole lot of people did use the DJI store to purchase. And especially for people not in the United States, I feel like I'd rather have store credit than nothing. I ran with scissors. A big question. Did you announce your freestyle frame for 2021 yet, or did I miss it? I have not announced it yet, but since you asked, what is this behind me on the desk? Well, that just looks like a regular old Qavs, Joshua. Does it? Does it look like a regular old Qavs? Yeah, I'm waiting for the chat to catch up. Does it? Miguel Santiago, I haven't gotten to the Super Chats yet. Oh, yeah. Solid top plate, baby. Solid top plate. And slammed. And 3mm front plate. So here's what this is coming. This is the Qavs JB edition. People always said, when are you going to make a sponsored frame? And I said, when I feel like there's a frame that I have anything to contribute. And I found the Qavs and I loved it, but I thought there were a couple little things I would like different about it. And usually the way that to get that done is to offer to do a sponsored version. That's my number one reason for sponsoring products. It's not the money. The money is, obviously money is nice. But my number one reason for doing sponsored products is that I want something from the vendor, the manufacturer. And in order to convince them to do what I want, I'd make a sponsored product with them. And that's exactly what happened here. So here's what's cool about this frame. It's not for sale yet, by the way. This is the manufacturing sample that I just gave the green light to. It's got a solid top plate. I know everybody said that the top plate didn't reduce durability on the Qavs. I just wanted a solid top plate. Solid top plate lets us get rid of that standoff, the center standoff, so we save a little weight. It has a 3mm. Actually, this is only a 2mm. It will be available. It will come with a 3mm, or maybe there's going to be an option. I'm not sure which. But with a 3mm bottom plate instead of 2mm, now we increase durability a little bit, and we'll do a slam design. It's still 20mm, 22mm of height, so it's still plenty of height. But by going to a slam design, we shorten the standoffs and we save a little weight. Bottom line is, and there's a couple other little things I asked for. I asked for a couple little grippy, sorry about that. a couple little grippy notches here to keep the battery strap from slipping backwards. And there's a waist here as well. I think that might be in the other one. Camera protection. We also updated the camera plate so that there's different camera slits for the DJI camera versus micro camera. So here's what I love about this. It has all of the things I like about the QAVS, including the really, really innovative way that the arms go together. The arms on this thing are super tough because they don't have screw holes through them like many do, and just because they're well designed. Oh, I also asked if they, Ciati, you're going to like this look. I asked if they could add the devil horns to protect the motors. That's for you, Ciati. So here's what I like about this. 107 grams for the 2mm version, 112 grams for the 3mm version. Boom! Boom! So basically, and by the way, thank you very much to Ryan Harrell, who is the designer of this frame, and Santiago. I don't remember Santiago's last name. Thank you very much to Ryan Harrell and Santiago, who both worked with me. I asked for like one or two things, and they were like, yeah, what about this? What about this? They really ran with my ideas. So kudos and credit to them. ZFP, if you don't like the devil horns, the standard QAVS arms will work. But I wanted the devil horns. I think they help protect the motors. What we were able to do is, I think, improve the frame. By my value, it improves the frame, but it didn't actually cost us any additional weight. We've actually, I think, reduced the weight slightly. So pretty cool. I'm very excited. And hopefully soon we'll be seeing a perfect freestyle build coming now that that is done. I've been talking about my perfect freestyle build for a long time now. Way back when I thought I knew what frame I was going to use, and I was waiting for my flight controller to get finished. Now my flight controller's finished. I think we're almost gonna actually do it. I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep talking about it forever. 12 by 12 motor mount? No, 16 by 16, right? Standard 16 by 16. How much is the B-Man FPV? The FPV Cycle Glide is still lighter. You are correct. You are correct. Do you have to take it apart to replace an arm? One screw arm change. You have to loosen the other screw just to slide it out, but it's a one screw arm change. The back notches, the strap just kind of, as it tightens down, it just kind of sets in there and helps keep them sliding back. The FPV Cycle Glide is lighter. You're right. I just really, something about this frame appealed to me. Yeah, I don't know. Are there TPU antenna mounts available, Richard? Yeah, the QAVS has standard TPU antenna mounts, and they're available from Get FPV. What's the width of the arms near the motor? Asks Shady. I mean, I don't want to get out my caliper and show you, but I don't think that motors breaking off near the end of the arm is a problem with this frame. I mean, this frame has been out in the wild for a while. How thick are the arms? Those are 5mm arms. Get FPV will be selling it. When can you pick it up? Unknown. Like I said, I just gave the green light to manufacturing right now, today, and so it'll be a couple weeks. Spacing of the rear standoffs identical to the QAVS. How are the arms attached if not with screws? The arms are attached with screws. Yes. What I mean is, here, hang on, I'll show you. Okay, this one has to come out. So, what I mean is that the screw hole doesn't go through the center of the arm like most arms and weaken the arm. So normally you would just drill right through the center of the arm and it would create a weak spot. So the way these arms are designed, the screw hole is off center, and the way the arms come together, there's not a bunch of stress centered on this area. So normally you'd have a screw hole like right here, and that would just be a perfect place for it to break off. Seems like a very good possibility that the frame will come into FPV crate since it's manufactured by Get FPV, but I don't know. All right. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, let's get some super chats out of the way. Got a bunch of super chats. DTFPVS is drinking a White Claw found in the back of my fridge. So I'm basically Joshua Bardwell now. Well, I'm not sure that that's an improvement, but. What are your thoughts on DJI making a ground station so you can fly with DJI quality on any goggles? I mean, that would be awesome. I don't think they're going to do it. If they were going to do it, they wouldn't. They're not going to do it because we begged them to do that, and they refused. We begged them for HDMI out from the goggles, and they said no. Basically, the closest thing they gave us was the smart controller. Doesn't seem like they would ever do that. Why would then they would never need the smart controller? All right, let's get some super chats out of the way. Thank you to everybody who has given some money in the super chat. Nando FPV, thank you for $5. Just finished a Moon Goat with a newbie drone Cricket stack. The Vista keeps cutting out. I installed a cap. I installed a 12-volt Beck to no avail. What was the amp rating of the 12-volt Beck? You would want at least a 1-amp Beck. You need at least 10 watts. So I'm going to guess, though, that if the Vista keeps cutting out and you installed a Beck and the Vista is still cutting out, that it's not the regulator that's the problem. Maybe check your solder where you soldered to the Vista and make sure the power wire is solid. Peter Laurie, the cost will I don't know the final cost. The cost will probably be similar to the existing QAVS or the QAVS Johnny FPV edition. Go ahead and take a look at those and you'll have an idea of roughly what it's going to cost. Here, I'll look it up for you. The QAVS right now at Get FPV runs $65. The QAVS Johnny FPV, runs $90. We'll have to look at the pricing. Yeah. Johnny's version is larger and has metal pieces. Maybe that's why it's more expensive. We'll have to talk about the pricing. I don't know the final pricing. Bone Milled, thank you for... so Nando FPV, I would check the solder where the power wire connects to the Vista, or maybe you have a bad Vista, although that's pretty unlikely. That's pretty unusual. They're usually pretty solid. Bone Milled, thanks for a $1 super chat. Miguel Santiago, thanks for a $10 super chat. Building my first drone, I tried to flash the firmware on my Sux XE Mini F7. It bricked. That's happened to 2 of them. I hate to say this, Miguel, but if you flashed and bricked 2 flight controllers, it's probably user error. I'm not saying that like to make you feel bad. I'm just saying there's something you're doing, and we got to figure out what it is and then make you stop doing it. The good news is that it's very difficult to truly brick one of these flight controllers. You can almost always just reflash them. Maybe you flashed the wrong firmware, for example. Yeah. So that's my guess, Miguel. Miguel says, I absolutely want the DJI FPV drone. Yeah, some of us do. Gregory Carr, thanks for a $5 super chat. My V2 are activated and downgraded to older firmware. It still won't give me the option to go into FPV mode. Any help? Gregory, I'm very sorry to say that you're not alone. And like I said, I released a video saying DJI has not addressed the activation problem. That there are still people out there, hopefully not too many people, but there are still people out there who bought the DJI V2 goggles and cannot activate them. and that is unacceptable. Now, you've even tried to use the solution they gave, and it didn't work. So now what? Wherever you bought them from, try to return them. Say these don't work. Give me my goggles. Give me another set of goggles, or give me my money back. Okay, I know you don't want to do that. You just want your damn goggles to work. Here's another thing you can do. If you know anybody who has the DJI drone, then if you bind the goggles to the DJI drone, then suddenly the option to switch to the FPV mode appears, and then you're good to go forever. If there is any way for you to get in the same room as the DJI FPV drone, then you can fix this problem. Otherwise, you have no choice but they are not giving a solution that works. And when a company sells a product that doesn't work, then the only thing to do is return it. And it sucks. It sucks that I don't know how this happened or why it happened, but DJI absolutely could fix it. I don't know. They absolutely could fix it, and they haven't, and it's unacceptable. Make sure, Gregory Carr, make sure that you are on a DJI FPV Assistant version 2.1. Some people have said if they're on version 2.0, they can't get to the right firmware. Maybe. Aerobrat points out, what about the DJI drone guts that were getting shipped around? Can you get on that list? I don't know how you get on that list, Aerobrat. That's Cyclone FPV is doing that. I don't know how you get on that list, though. Benjamin says, I just bricked my Caddx Vista flashing firmware. Benjamin, how'd you brick it, Benjamin? It's pretty hard to brick them. I'm not saying you didn't do it. I'm just saying, I've had flashes fail. I've had air units power down because the battery died in the middle of a flash. I've never had one be permanently bricked. Thank you, Psych Limbo, for the compliments on my amazing shirt. What does bricked mean? It means the firmware. It won't, when you plug it into USB, it doesn't do anything. Ricardo Rodriguez, thanks for 50 Mexican pesos, I believe. Hello, sir. The DJI FPV drone has made me realize I want to get into FPV hobby. Can you recommend a drone and a controller to get started? Ricardo, the first question to ask is if you want to build one or if you want to just buy one ready to go. For controller, I'm going to suggest that you check this video I made. Let me tag you, Ricardo Rodriguez. I'm going to suggest that. Mads Tech says, on the Vista, keep trying to refresh. It will come back. Try holding the bind button for 20 seconds while connected to the assistant. It will flash eventually. When I plug into USB, it rapidly makes the USB disconnect connect noise and won't connect to the assistant. Ouch. That is bad. Try holding down the bind button for 20 seconds while connected. So for controller, Ricardo, there's a video to help you select a controller. For a quadcopter, I think the iFlight Sedora SL5E is a good choice for a beginner. You'll need to set it up. It won't come. You'll need to bind it and finish the setup, but or the Nazgul V2 is also good. It's about $200. I think it's a good choice. MT asks, will you be doing any build videos, cheap build videos for 2021? Yes, absolutely. I have, really? How unusual. Nope. So I have, yeah, here it is. So this is the DJI version. Where's the analog version? That's probably what you actually want. So this is not from 2021, but it's still completely up to date, and I still highly recommend it. This is my Xylo 5-inch freestyle beginner drone, Joshua Bardwell edition, and you can check that out. I've got full build tutorial for it. And that, I think, is the number one reason to go with it, is my build tutorial. I will walk you through it. Oh, cheap DJI builds, whole V? Absolutely whole V. There's absolutely a DJI version of the same thing. So that is the analog version. Here's the DJI version. Blue Eye Visuals broke a balance lead. What's a good supplier for a replacement? Blue Eye Visuals, I just go on Amazon and buy them there. You can buy a kit there. Do you think it's worth the price difference in the iFlight F7 Beast and the H7 AIO version? I don't think there's a strong reason to go with an H7 today. In the future, H7 will have capabilities that Betaflight may take advantage of, but today I don't think there's a very big reason to do that. Vicanair FPV, thanks for a $5 super chat. Zipperlips FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. What do we know? What do we do now the DJI camera has been discontinued? Nebula Pro is your answer. That's the answer. Or whatever they come with next. The DJI camera, I mean, or just buy a bunch of DJI cameras and cross your fingers that they don't run out. You can still buy the DJI camera. DJI FPV. Like, if we look at race day quads. There you go. $60. Coming soon. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I want 443 items. Oh, come on. Do you not even have the camera? Uh-oh. Maybe not. You're screwed. Oh, nope. Okay, you're screwed. They're gone. Nebula Pro, or find quads that have them in them and scavenge them. I don't know what to tell you. Joe G. No, I mean, seriously, though. Nebula Pro is okay. In my opinion. It's not quite as good, but it's okay. Joe G, thank you for a $10 super chat. Just saying thanks as a newbie. You're speaking Greek to me, but I'm learning. Thank you, Joe. Greg Boaton, thank you for a $10 super chat. Can you update the FreeSky RXSR using the Radiomaster TX16S? Yes, you certainly can. To show you more about that, I'm going to refer to this young upstart's website. This guy's going places. I'll tell you what, he's going to be big someday. He is going to be very popular. You should check his website out, Oscar Leung. What you need to know is that you can flash. Here we go. This is what you want. This is how to wire it up to the port, to the JR bay on the back. Here's your RXSR pinout. You're going to wire it up like that. Make sure you're using a 2S battery. If for some reason you're using a 3S battery, you'll fry the RXSR. So you need to be using a 2S battery on your radio. And that's how you wire it up. And then you just do flash external and flash the firmware. That's how you do it. So really, Oscar Leong deserves that super chat. What are you going to do? Simon Boonstra, thank you for 5 Swiss francs. Could you explain in Beta FPV on the VTX tab, note, some audio protocols like Smart Audio can't enable pit mode via software after power up. Yeah, Simon Boonstra. So pit mode obviously is the low power mode where the video transmitter transmits like it's less than 1 milliwatt. You have basically 3 to 5 feet of range. That's maybe 1 to 2 meters since you're Swiss or anywhere else in the world than America, pretty much. Basically 1 to 2 meters of range. And the idea is that you won't interfere with other pilots who are around you. Most smart audio video transmitters will power up in pit mode if told to do it. But once you take them out of pit mode, they will not go back into pit mode without power cycling. Even if you try to tell them to go into pit mode, they won't do it. The Tramp protocol video transmitters usually will go back into pit mode for what it's worth. Why is that? I don't know. But basically, if you try to re-enable pit mode on a smart audio VTX, it usually won't do it. It'll only power up in pit mode. Suave FPV says Oscar is great and he doesn't push DJI. I mean, Oscar doesn't really push anything, does he? He mostly just makes, like, I guess he has some reviews. I'm looking at his site right now. Yeah. What is he pushing? Yeah. There you go. Best products. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is this? Oh my God, he is pushing DJI. Oh my God, look at this. Oscar has DJI content. I mean, I think one of the reasons for that perception is that at Oscar's site, you go to Oscar's site to find what you're looking for. Whereas on a YouTube channel, you see whatever content the creator made that day. Anyway. So I think on a YouTube cut show, you're more likely to see content that you might not like. Just a guess. Can't you just make it to where it cuts power? Floppy Props asked. Yeah, if you're using like a real pit, you could just cut power to the VTX. Can I power my air unit directly from a battery? Yes, you can. Up to 17 volts only, though. So 4S or down to 2S. Yeah, Longo, I'm aware that 2 meters is the same distance all across the world. I just meant that if you're in the USA, you'd say 6 feet. If you're anywhere else in the world, you would say probably 2 meters. Michael Hill, thank you for a $5 super chat. Zipperlips FPV, thanks for another $5 super chat. What are some common reasons the Vista will lock up in flight? My screen frosted over while flying very close. Zipperlips, the number one reason for the DJI Air unit or Vista to lock up is that the power supply to it is insufficient. If you're using a voltage regulator, it may not be able to handle the current. You need a minimum of 10 watts. So 10 volts, 1 amp. That's 10 watts, 10 times 1. 12 volts, 1 amp would be more than sufficient. 9 volts, 1.5 amp, and so on. Those are common. They would probably be fine. But sometimes the voltage regulator will brown out, even though it's supposed to be rated good enough. But insufficient power is the number one reason. Todd Tube, thank you for a $5 super chat. I emailed you some iNav black box logs. Thank you, Todd. Is there a particular Crossfire receiver you recommend for the Xylo build? I use the Crossfire Nano for everything. I don't think that for most freestyle pilots and racers or cruisers, I don't think there's any compelling reason to go with the Diversity unless you're really doing really long range stuff. Because you're usually so within the range of the Crossfire system when you're doing typical freestyle racing, cruising stuff, that the Diversity is just a bigger receiver with an extra antenna for no real advantage. Miguel Santiago, thanks for a $5 super chat. I've watched your configuration guide so many times I can practically recite it, so I don't think it's something I'm doing, but obviously it's possible. Miguel, I would wonder what target you're choosing when you flash them. Are you 100% sure it's the same target that's on them, that came on them from the factory? I mean, the bottom line should be that you can reflash them by putting them into DFU or bootloader mode. Helicopterosis, thanks for a $5 super chat. I have an analog ready-to-fly QAV R2 from last year, and I see that it said on DShot 300. Is that right? How important is the D-Shot setting? D-Shot 300 is a great place to be for an F4 processor. On F7 processors, you can go up to D-Shot 600. Some actually argue that there's not as much of an advantage as you would think. Most people running an F7 processor would use D-Shot 600, and an F4 processor would need to use D-Shot 300. Steve Rubin, thanks for a $5 super chat. I'm new to FPV. How long would it take to fly as good as Mr. Steele if I practice 1 hour a day? I mean, Steve, let's face it. Steele is one of the best freestyle pilots in the world. Most of us are never going to fly as good as him, no matter how long we fly. If you take innate ability out of it and assume that you have the innate ability, I mean, how long's Steele been flying? 6, 7 years? So, I mean, you do the math. I guarantee you he's putting in more than an hour a day on average, I would bet. Maybe I'm wrong about that. So, I think that most people can get minimally competent at flying in under 6 months. If you put in a lot of stick time, you could shorten that significantly. Crazy Frog says, I experienced DJI interfering with analog today. Pretty much knocked me out of the sky. How do I fight it, aside from buying DJI? Crazy Frog, you need to stay at least 10 or 15 feet away from the DJI Pilot because the goggles transmit as well as the quad. As an analog pilot, you're used to thinking only of the quad as the transmitter. DJI doesn't work that way. And then you just need to do basic channel mitigation. So I really like... Okay, where's that frequency chart? Oh, well, we'll just use this Oscar Leong frequency chart. Come on, baby. What about DJI? Yeah. So, like, just use a frequency chart and make sure that you guys are not overlapping. Right? Frequency mitigation is the same. Frequency management is the same. Those are the two answers. If you stay away from the goggles themselves and make sure you're on different frequency, you should be okay. Hopefully. Big Data Pimp says 10 to 15 feet, DJI will still kick you out of the air. It depends a lot. It depends. I mean, you may need to go further. That's true. Minimum 10 to 15 feet. Let's put it that way. Greg Boughton says, I'm not sure what you mean by 2x battery. I'm using two 18650 to power the radio. Yeah, Greg Boughton, if you have two 18650 cells in there, you're using a 2-cell battery, so you're good to go. Michael Hill, thanks for a $5 super chat. Preferred flight simulator for FPV beginners. Okay, here's what I'll say about that. If you want to get into multi-GP style racing, I think Velocidrone is clearly the best. All the multi-GP racing pilots I know fly Velocidrone to practice. I mean, okay, all may be too strong of a word. If you just want to have fun, then I think that other simulators may have environments that you'll enjoy more. The liftoff simulator has my house in it, as well as a bunch of other interesting environments. The DRL simulator has a really cool, gigantic environment, like an aircraft boneyard. So I think you just got to ask yourself what you want out of the simulator. If you want pure multi-GPU style racing, not that you can't do freestyle in Velocidrone, it's just that that's the place where it really just excels the most. Is that it's got all the multi-GP tracks and it's just really good at simulating accurately racing. Ozza Ace wants a link to this frequency chart. Here it is. There you go. Side salad, you can parallel discharge lipos. Thank you, Stevens Box, for a $5 super chat. Will tiny whoops on DJI be viable for racing anytime in the near future? Asks Adam Lassen. Adam, the DJI system is still too heavy for a true tiny whoop, a 65mm quad. The entire Caddx Vista weighs about as much as a typical 65mm tiny whoop. Even if you do the naked mod, where you remove the heat sinks, it still is too heavy for a 65mm tiny whoop. So for now, Sharkbite is the place you want to go if you're looking for high sort of. Is Sharkbite high definition? Technically, it does transmit a 720p signal. Some have said that the actual resolution is closer to 500. That was something that internally to the camera. Regardless, we'll call it HD. They have a 200 milliwatt single board video transmitter that I know it'll work on a 75mm. I'm not sure it'll work on a 65, but it'll get you as close as possible. The truth is that today, tiny whoops are basically all still analog. That's what people are using. Stevens Box, thanks for another $5 super chat. My 3-inch 6S 1408 2800 kV build started running extremely hot motors to the point of flying erratically after a crash and prop change. Where to start? So if it was working fine before the crash and then it got hot motors after the crash, that tells us that it's not the PIDs, it's not the filters, none of that, because the crash didn't change those things. Crashes don't change your configuration. Crashes break hardware. So then the question is, what hardware broke? Hot motors usually means excess vibration getting to the gyro. So either like your frame broke, you broke a flight controller standoff or something like that, and that's causing the flight controller to vibrate, or the gyro on the flight controller may have gotten damaged in the crash and the frame is fine, but just the gyro's broken and you're getting too much vibration from the broken gyro. So check the quadcopter over thoroughly for any mechanical issues like cracked carbon, broken standoffs, missing screws, etc., and then replace the flight controller. Sorry. Danny R. No White Claw tonight. Danny, perish the thought. I blame Drew Camden. You know, I'm going to tell him this. Drew Camden. First, you ruined Rotor Riot. Then you ruined me. I have been drinking White Claw on like my last 4 live streams. All right. We'll see what he says about that. Is there a flight controller that you recommend for under $25? Asks Broken Prop FPV. No. Not really. Wow, $25? I don't know about that. Didn't we? I mean, I wouldn't say I recommend it. Didn't we look at like a $27 F7 flight controller on the new product roundup like 1 month ago? I don't know. I don't think I would recommend one under $25 because I just feel like it's the Diatone Mamba F405. So the Mamba F405 is not $25 though, is it? So the one on my website. Oh my God. Shut up. Shut up. Oh, shut up. Diatone, what are you doing? All right, well, if I was going to recommend one, this would be it. If I was going to recommend one, this would be it. But I would encourage you to spend at least $35 on your flight controller because I feel like you have to cut a lot of corners to get down to this price. Danny R wants to know my hard liquor of choice. It's bourbon. Bourbon. Usually Knob Creek. Knob Creek, is that yeah, there you go. Gin. I also drink gin. Hendrick's gin. Gin and tonic's good. Old fashioned. That's usually my go-to. The problem with whiskey on stream is that it doesn't really hydrate you for the whole stream. Tech49 FPV says people were having a lot of issues with pad lifting on those boards. Yeah. So, right. Like I'm saying, to get down to that price, you have to cut corners. And like Diatone has been threading that needle for a long time, making very inexpensive flight controllers that are decent quality. But eventually you're going to fail to thread that needle and you're going to have a batch of them go out that are crappy. So Alberto Diaz, thanks for 50 Mexican pesos. Do you have any build that can be a great start in analog and a great base for to level up to digital later? Yeah, Alberto, the exact same Xylo budget build that I showed. You can build the analog version, and if you decide to put a Vista in it later, I got a tutorial for how to install the Vista. It's the exact same setup, just one has an analog and one has digital. Eric LaPlante, thanks for a $5 super chat. Looking at a new GNB 600 milliamp hour 4S battery. Do high volts offer benefits, or do they have better or worse IR? So Eric LaPlante, in general, I would steer you away from high volt batteries. The advantage of the high volt is that you get a larger milliamp hour in the same weight, or you get lower weight for the same milliamp hour, however you want to think of it. Basically, by charging to a higher voltage, you get more milliamps out of the battery before it's dead. The flip side is that it's not as much as you would think. When you go from 4.2 to 4.35 volts, it would feel like there's like a lot more flight time. It's not as much as you would think, and the durability on the batteries tends not to be quite as good. Although I think it's gotten better. It used to be that the high volts died really quickly when they first came out. It has gotten better. The only place when I would encourage you to go with high volts is if you're down in like the 300 milliamp hour, 450 milliamp hour range. The very, very small batteries, like the only way to get a semi-decent flight time out of them is to charge them to high volt. Right? At that point, you just have to have the extra voltage. I feel like 600 milliamp hours is on the edge of where I would say, yeah, high volt makes sense. But in general, I wouldn't rush to go high volt. There's not as much selection, and I think the quality of the cells tends to be lower. Jonathan McWhorter, thank you for a $10 super chat. Any thoughts on the Nazgul V2? I think I want it to be my first full-size 5-inch. I mean, I recommend it. I think for $200, I think it's a steal. I have the Emax Hawk Pro 5, but I think it's really floaty. I mean, the Hawk Pro 5 is also very good. If you think the Hawk Pro 5 feels floaty, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure the Nazgul is going to be any better. The Hawk Pro is a very, very good flying quad. There's things to criticize about it, but the way it flies is not one of them, in my opinion. Joseph Ford, thank you for a $5 super chat. To never drink gin ever again. You shut your mouth, Joseph. I'm keeping your money, but I'm definitely still going to drink gin. And Johnny 5, another YouTuber there in the chat. Hey, Johnny, your thumbnails suck. Your titles suck. What are you going to do about it? No, I'm just shitting on people this week, I guess. Johnny 5, how do you train yourself to speak so well and for so long? I've started live streaming, and after an hour, my voice is almost dead. I don't know about that, John. I I don't know. I don't know that I've trained myself. I mean, I was an instructor for a while. I was a classroom instructor and talked all day. But I mean, that was 15 years ago, maybe. I just like to hear myself talk, I guess. You know what the secret is, John? You're not drinking enough White Claw. You're not drinking enough. Maybe you're not drinking enough water, John. There are vocal techniques you can use. Like there are ways to sort of hold your throat and hold your mouth that tire you out. Make sure you're drinking water, I think. I mean, are you drinking water? That's my guess. Steven Diaz asks, do you smoke weed? Good question. Are you asking me, Steven, or are you asking John? Bubby's here. Bubby FPV. Welcome back, Bubby. How much does White Claw pay this man? Nobody pays me anything. Except you guys. Joining my Patreon. Using my affiliate links and so forth. I have no actual sponsorships. I mean, okay. Sometimes people send me gear to review. That some people would count that. Nobody pays me. I just plug all these products for free. Because I'm bad at... Everyone smokes cannabis, says Buzzkill. Just a question of how much. I hate to say it, Buzzkill. I don't smoke anything. I never got into cigarettes, and I never got into cannabis. It just makes me die coughing. There's this period where you have to smoke enough that you stop dying every time you smoke. And I just never got past that period. I just have to rely on White Claw. I shill DJI for free? I know, right? If I'm going to shill for DJI, the least I could do is get paid. Oh, well. What are you going to do? I always feel bad, too. I've told this story before. You may have heard it. I feel bad because, like, if I'm hanging out with people and they're... You know, if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, can I get you a drink? Yeah, sure, buy me a drink. Like, when I was at the DC protest. After the DC remote ID protest, we went to a bar/restaurant. We all had dinner. Somebody was like, hey, let me buy you a drink. I was like, okay, sure, buy me a drink. Let's be... You know, somebody says, you know, hey, you wanna hit this? And I'm like, no. Like, I want to be like, yeah, come on, let's do it. And be social and be friendly. I'm like, no, I don't want to. So, there you go. What are you going to do? What's the etiquette there? Pot smokers? Let me ask you, pot smokers, what's the etiquette? Should I be like, yeah, okay. Thanks. Just like, you know, take a polite puff. Should I join in? Just stand around. How's it going, guys? Oh yeah, we gonna smoke one? We're gonna hit a pipe. Yeah. Let me get that. Cool. Thanks. That's good. That's so. What do you mean you haven't lit it yet? Dr. X says it's bad form to continuously offer to a non-smoker. Nobody ever pushes it. Everybody's super polite about it. I'm just wondering what the etiquette is for me. Like, how do you know what I should do? This would be the courteous thing to do. I should learn to roll. And then I should be like, you know what? I'm not actually smoking, but let me roll some for you. Right? That would be polite, wouldn't it? Justin French says that's the etiquette, to take a small puff. Most people would not be offended if I said no. Anyway, tell him you just ate an edible. Nice. Nothing better than a volcano. Is this a bot grinder stream? Where's bot grinder? I feel like we're talking a lot about pot for a JB stream. Anyway. Redbeard the pilot says, you should remember that it remains a federal crime, and given that you've made some trips to Virginia Beach, I'd say probably not. Yee, good point, Redbeard. Good point. Why? What do you mean, Redbeard? I just like going to Virginia Beach. What are you talking about? Redbeard knows a thing or two. Yeah, I will not be doing any smoking, flying well on pot, flying well on salvia. I'll keep it family friendly. Alrighty. Buzzkill, that's true. At some point, Buzzkill says, I didn't mean that everybody smokes now, just that everyone at some point in their life smoked. That's true. Once upon a time. It's never been my thing, though. 10 Fantic, thank you for $2 in the super chat. Waiting patiently for news on that Speedy BF7 V2. Didn't we? I already made a video about it. What are you talking about? Speedy BF7. I already made a video about it. Boom. Boom. Right here. You don't need to wait patiently no longer. Because I made a video about it. I already made it. There you go, my friend. Jack Animations, thanks for £5. Love your videos. I'm currently running a TX16 with an XM Plus, but it keeps fail-safing. Do I get Crossfire or the Nazgul first? What do you think? Get the Crossfire starter kit and then put that in your existing quads. B-Man FPV wants to know when the Pyrodrone backpack is supposed to come out. B-Man, I don't have an exact date, but when I asked them, they told me it would be sometime in April. Obviously, manufacturing is kind of screwed up lately, so who knows? But it's not late, according to what they told me. All right. Do I go into setting up GPS in my iFlight Chimera video? I don't remember exactly what's in that video, Anthony Echevarria. I probably showed the things I would change, but Joshua Bardwell, GPS rescue. Here is my video for... Shh, quiet, Joshua. Here's my video for how I set up GPS rescue. Anthony Echevarria, here's the video for how I set up GPS rescue. B-Man FPV says, funny, Pyrodrone said March at first. It sounds late to me. I only know what I was told when I asked. I'm excited to get it, but I wouldn't hold my breath. My review of the AU line backpack will be coming soon. Why are RX and TX antennas not circular polarized? Asked Will B. Well, that's a good question, and I don't actually know the correct answer. I've asked that question in the past, and I don't know if I've gotten a convincing answer. Maybe we could start by looking at what drove us to use circular polarized antennas for video. And the number one reason we use circular polarized antennas for video is that it deals with multipath best. And multipathing specifically makes your video break up in a particularly distracting way. So we could make the argument that maybe we don't use circular polarized antennas for control because multipathing doesn't affect control as obviously. That's pure speculation though, and I don't know if that's the right answer. Circular polarized antennas obviously are they are like usually bigger and bulkier. So, I mean, there's certainly a compelling reason to go with linear antennas if possible. I'd be curious to know if anybody else has input on why we don't use circular polarized antennas for control. Like, I wish Alex Grieve was out there somewhere, or I wish he was in here. Buzzkill, I have no idea when TBS stuff will be back in stock. No idea. Get on the TBS lounge and cross your fingers. What VTX would you go for with the Rotor Riot CL1? Asks All in a Day for Vid in the Discord. I mean, the VTX I'm most excited about right this minute is the Rush Tank Solo. It's brand new, and I haven't tested it, but Rush usually makes very good VTXs, and the Rush Tank Solo has 1 watt plus output power. So it should have just amazing penetration and range. It's a little bit bigger, but the CL1, I think it would fit on it and I think it would be pretty good. If not that one, then a TBS Unify, obviously you can't go wrong, or a Rush Tank Ultimate would be good. Mad Max FPV suggests that normal dipoles have more gain. I think they have the same amount of gain. It's just like 2 dB of gain or whatever. And multipathing doesn't affect digital protocols the same. Arguable, maybe. Maybe the digital frequency hopping does a better job of dealing with multipathing. A circular polarized antenna helps with orientation issues, Jason Kennedy, because with linear polarized antennas, if the antennas are 90 degrees out of orientation with each other, then you'll get a lot of loss, like 15 dB of loss between them. Whereas if they're perfectly aligned, then you'll get 0 dB of loss. Which means that if you've got an antenna on an airplane, and the antenna is upright, let's say, and your controller's antenna is over to the side, this is the worst situation in terms of polarization loss. Now, for long-range planes and stuff, usually they don't worry about it because they put both antennas straight up or both antennas sideways. And yeah, the plane banks a little bit, but who cares? It's mostly still polarized correctly. But for quadcopters, orientation matters a lot because quadcopters are often flipping upside down and so forth. And that's why circular polarized antennas are better, I think, on quadcopters. Siati says the Impulse RC Tramp HV all day. Siati, I'm always a little put off by the fact that the Tramp HV only goes up to 600 milliwatts. It's a great VTX, and it can do more on 600 milliwatts than some other VTXs can do on quote-unquote 1 watt. But I feel like a good VTX on 1 watt, like a Unify, I feel like a good VTX on 1 watt is going to beat the Tramp on 600 milliwatts. I just feel like that, yeah. Are desyncs from the FPV Cycle Emerald motors fixed? Asks Elise Lapalme. Elise, Kebab says that the 5-inch Emerald motor desyncs, that the changes to the startup power that he discovered have fixed it in like 99% of situations. And he is going back to help to the vendor to redesign the motor bells to hopefully fix it in 100%, but that's speculation at this point. The changes fixed it for me. Before he discovered the change to the startup power, I felt like I would hesitate to recommend those motors because I don't want to recommend a motor that's going to desync on you and drop your quad out of the air. I've been trying to keep my ear to the ground about what people's experience are, and it does seem like most people who are implementing that change to startup power are not having desyncs anymore on those motors. I would say it's probably safe to order those motors today and raise the startup power like he says, and then like go out and do a Rubik's Cube and see if the quad desyncs, but like do it over some grass, not over some concrete. and you'll probably be okay. If you're not okay, the next set of bells he thinks will fix it, but like I said, that's speculation. I will say those 5-inch motors are pretty special. Like, I'm not saying that if you fly those motors, you'll be like, oh, because like at the end of the day, they're freaking motors, right? But I will say, I think they're pretty interesting. And I don't think he's just making up marketing BS when he talks about the benefits that those motors have. They're pretty nice motors. Yeah. FPV 5-inch motors are out of stock. Not entirely true. I don't think that's entirely true. The Imperials are. I think the Emeralds, 1880 kV. No, it's the 2400 kV that nobody wants. It's the 2200 kV. That's it. Yeah, the 2200 kV Emerald are in stock. I'm not sure that I would rush to use. So the thing is, I was tempted because I wanted some of the Emeralds, or actually I wanted some of the Imperials, but I was tempted to just get the 2200 kV. And some people have said that Kebab has said he's run this 2200 kV motor on 6S. But the reason that the motors are desyncing in part has to do with the speed of the magnets. So I'm a little bit hesitant. 2200 kV is pretty high for 6S. And I'm a little bit hesitant that they might bring the desyncs back out. So, no, you're right. The FPV Cycle 5-inch, what is it, 1900 kV? Whatever it is, 1800, 1888. The 1880 kV one is out of stock pretty much everywhere. There you go. That's the other problem. That's the other problem with FPV Cycle. I asked Bob about this. I said, Bob, listen, what's your future look like with these motors and stocking issues? And he seemed to think that they would come back into stock and once they came into stock, he'd have a ton of them. I don't know. Squishy says the 2200 kV motor has no issues and 5S is amazing. Yeah, Squishy, I'm sure the 2200 kV motor is fine on 5S. That's the right kV for 5S. I mean on 6S. How do you clean FPV camera sensors? Asks Diddy FPV. I don't know. I've never cleaned a camera sensor, Diddy. How'd your camera sensor get dirty? What does a desync look like? Asks Buzzkill. The quad death rolls. It goes down into the ground. That's usually what a desync looks like. Seldom does a quad recover from desync, although it is possible. Andy K says, why you got so many haters, Bardwell? You know what, man? When you're as awesome as I am, some people just can't handle it. No, I'm just fucking around. Pardon me. Here's what I'll say about this. I started out with 0 subscribers. I started making content. I made whatever kind of content I wanted to make, and I still do. When you first start out and you only have, let's say, 1,000 or less subscribers, most of the people who see your content are people who want to see your content. Because the people who don't like you, they just leave. They just don't watch your content. And eventually, as you continue to get more popular, you cross a threshold where people who dislike you can't ignore you. Because you just are prominent enough. Either you're making content that appeals to them, but they kind of hate your face. You know? Like somebody might watch one of my tutorials and go, this guy is an arrogant, stuck-up narcissist. But he did tell me how to fix Betaflight. Right? Or they just like are seeing you it's like this kind of can't look away from the car wreck thing. Somebody posts your video on Reddit or on Facebook or somewhere, and they watch it and they're like, I freaking hate, I hate this guy. He is what a jerk, as they continue to watch the video. I do that. I watch people's YouTube content. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time doing it, hopefully, but like there's people who I just don't like, and every so often I'll click on one of their videos and go, oh my God, what did this guy do now? Issa, get over here. You are not going to believe. So my point is that when you reach a certain point in your subscriber list or your popularity, eventually you will run into a wave of people who hate you and think you suck. And they just were not paying attention to you for a while, and now they can't get rid. So I would say that a wave of people suddenly deciding you suck could be a sign that you are continuing to get more popular. It can be really disorienting if you have 500 subs and they all love you, and you have 1,000 subs and they all love you, and then sometime you have 5,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 subs and suddenly a whole bunch of people hate you. It could be like, what am I doing wrong? And maybe the answer is nothing. Just you've finally gotten big enough that the people who dislike you can't ignore you anymore. Or, you just like PewDiePie, you just said the N-word on stream and everybody's mad at you. I say that. But PewDiePie still has 50 million subs and is wildly popular. So, even his major faux pas didn't actually really... I mean, he did lose that Disney sponsorship, which is kind of a big deal. But, I mean, he's still there. He's not... Anyway. There you go. I've thought a lot about the difference. I've thought a lot about what makes... how to put this? There's people out there who make content that I think is shitty. But other people think it's great and amazing. And that's fine. Good for them. And by the same token, there's people out there who think that my content is shitty. And a lot of the time they come and tell me about it. And maybe the right attitude to take is, that's fine. Just go watch something you like. License to Drive wonders if I'm going to reprise my role as Dark Helmet in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. You are comparing me to Rick Moranis, and that is a compliment no matter how you slice it. Rick Moranis is a great man. I'm just making sure Rick Moranis hasn't sexually assaulted anyone. Nope. Okay, he's good. Rick Moranis is still okay. You're talking about Bot Grinder. I think Bot Grinder's content is great. Bot Grinder is one of the few people who I legitimately just enjoy watching his content. There's other people out there whose content I watch because sometimes I'll watch a tutorial for something I don't know how to do. And maybe I don't love the content. I'm just like, get to the thing, to the answer to my question. But I'll just sit through a Bot Grinder video. Is it realistic to do FPV full-time? What's needed? Says Steve Rubin. Steve, that's a tough question to answer. I like to say that if you're interested in doing something like that full-time, the first thing to do is do it full-time for free for a while. I mean, unless you just are going to get hired to build quads for somebody, like an X-Hover or a Get FPV. That's probably not what you're talking about. If you want to fly full-time, the first thing you have to do is devote yourself to flying and become good at flying. I'm not suggesting that you take jobs for free. If you have the skills, don't buy into the belief that you need to give your skills away for free in order to get in the door. That is almost always an opportunity to take advantage of you, I think. I almost always insist on paying people when they do things, especially because some people are often saying, you know, oh, hey, we need some help with your website. Is there, okay, we'll do this. People are offering to give stuff to me for free because I have a YouTube channel with 200,000 subscribers. And if I accept that offer, I seldom do it let them do it for free, because I don't want to be in a position, because number one, I can't afford to pay you for the work. And number two, I don't want to contribute to that sort of vibe in the world where people are forced to give their skill away for free just to kind of get their foot in the door. I don't think that's fair. So I would say that if you want to be a professional FPV pilot, maybe you're going to be a photographer, whatever you're going to do. If you are not good enough to charge for it, then don't do it professionally. Unless it's like, you know, your buddy has a car dealership and he's like, yeah, come on, shoot some footage for us. Those are the ideal jobs to get your foot in the door. Ones where you don't really have the skill to get the job, but the person doesn't care anyway. So you do the job for free just for the experience, but they kind of, it's understood that it's kind of going to be crappy. But once you reach a point where you have the skill and you're worth charging money for, then don't ever give it away for free. I mean, like, I never say never, but yeah. The number one thing that's needed, Steve, is just the driving love and desire to do it all day, every day, no matter what. And even then, it's not guaranteed that you're going to, like, be successful. So you have to do it. You just have to do it because you want to do it. And then eventually, hopefully, it'll be a success. It's not a great answer. Ambrose Ayler says, why are my motors and motor screws hot? Screws are not touching windings. Screws are touching the windings. You don't think they are, but I bet they are. Do this, Ambrose. Go get some M3 washers and put an M3 washer on every single one of your motor screws and see if they're still hot. If not, one of the screws is touching the windings. Joe Carpino, thank you. Carpino, thanks for a $3 super chat. And a $5 super chat. Joe wants me to check my email. Risky. Joe. Oh, thank you, Joe. Joe, what would I do? What would I do without you lovely people? I need this as a GIF for my an emoticon for my frickin' Discord server. Somebody turn that into an emoticon for my Discord server. Thank you for the super chat, Joe. Adam Hickson says, I'm in the market for an FPV backpack. I need to be able to fit at least one 5-inch inside the bag with props on. Any recommendations? Yeah. If you really want to be able to put your quads inside the backpack, then this is the only backpack you should really be looking at, in my opinion. Airport. Now, yeah, I don't actually even know if you can still buy it. You're going to have to look around. But this thing is a freaking beast. With props on? Ugh. A 5-inch with props on, you're still going to struggle, but I think you could do it if you had it like laying down flat. Airport Helipack, that's the one to look at. The Pyrodrone, the new Pyrodrone bag might do it, but it's really big. But we haven't seen it yet, so we don't know. Why props on? Good point, Chopper FPV. Why props on? Steve Carlisle says, why did my QAV-S Mini just burn out after about 3 minutes of flying? I mean, Steve, it's hard to know once it fries. Because once it's fried, then some of the evidence is gone. I think that when you solder up the motor wires, it's very easy to maybe have a little solder blob or something. But it's those tiny all-in-one flight controllers also are not the most reliable. So it might be something you did. If you sent me a picture, I'll tell you what, send me a picture of the flight controller, and I'm going to look at your solder joints right here on stream. Don't send me the picture if you don't want me to look at it. I'm going to look at your solder joints on stream, and I'm going to tell you whether I think it was your fault or not. It's up to you. I'm going to check my email. If you don't send it to me, we'll never mention it again. QuadGuard BPX3 is good. You can get a quad in there, maybe with props on. Is it still being made? I was looking recently, and I thought that it wasn't being made anymore. Let's see if we can find it. Currently unavailable. Unavailable. I don't think they make the quad guard anymore. I don't think it's available. Yeah, it went super on sale a while back, and then it stopped being available. I don't think they make it. It was good, but yeah. All right. Let's get a few more super chats here. Joey T, thanks for a $5 I just finished my first 6S build with the SpeedyBee F7 and FPV Cycle 5-inch motors. What's the biggest battery I should run? On a 5-inch, I think that 6S 1250 is like maybe 1300. I wouldn't go bigger. Especially, yeah, no. I prefer to be down around 1100 or to 1000. G4 Drone, thanks for 10 Brazilian reais, I believe. Does changing the antennas of the DJI FPV goggles help improve the signal? Yeah, a little bit. The higher gain antennas do. Yep, for sure. It's not night and day. It's there, though. Cobus Best, thanks for a $5 super chat. How much of a hash of it will I make if I've never flown a drone before and started on a DJI FPV? I mean, if you fly the DJI FPV in normal or sport mode, then you probably are going to be okay because it does all the work for you. If you have been flying the DJI FPV in manual mode and you try and switch to an Acro 5-inch, you'll do okay. If you have never flown in manual mode before, get on a simulator because you're going to crash and crash and crash. Simon Benjamin, thanks for 10 pounds. Love the channel. Great for getting into the hobby. I have a Cinecan 85mm Cinewhoop, and I repaired it now 10 plus times. One day it will break permanently. One day it will break permanently and the model's discontinued. Any idea for replacement parts? Well, the good news is, I mean, you just need to look at the size of your motors and buy another motor of the same size in KV. And as for flight controller, I mean, you probably could use basically any. I mean, if it has a 20mm mounting holes, you could get any 20mm stack. I mean, there's really nothing proprietary about that stuff, and you certainly can get spare parts. Basically, any other Cinewhoop parts will probably work. Stevens Box wants to know the best mini 6S stack and best full stack that I can try iNav for full GPS function with barometer, then go back to Betaflight. I would point you to the Holybro stacks. I think that all of the Holybro flight controllers support iNav, and so you can go back and forth. I would steer you towards that. Durzo FPV, thanks for $5, because you're not wrong. Oh. I'm starting to like HD video feed with the Vista more and more. I may neglect analog for a while. Look, there I go again, shilling for DJI. I need one of those, like Crumbobulous Michael. Is he the one from Rick and Morty who says, "There I go, killing again"? What is it? Let me make sure. There I go, killing again. Oh boy, here I go killing again. Yeah, it is Crumbopulous Michael. I need a GIF of that with my face on Crumbopulous Michael's body, and it needs to say, "Oh boy, here I go shilling again." And like I'm holding I don't know, like a DJI. I don't know, somebody who does GIFs. Make that for me. Okay. We got several other super chats have come in. Israel Castellan, thank you for a $50 super chat. That's a big one. Don't worry about the haters. They're just angry because the truth I speak contradicts the lie they live. Steve Maraboli. People always think your success comes easy. They never saw the hard work it took to get it. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Israel, for the very generous donation and the inspirational quote. It's always tough because the way my mind works, whenever someone compliments me, my knee-jerk reaction is to assume that they just don't know me well enough yet, or are just stupid. That reflects more on me than it does on you. I value your compliments, and I have to work really hard to take them in good spirit. And on the other hand, when someone criticizes me, my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, "Oh, they're right." So I'll talk about that with my therapist. But I appreciate the kind words. I will never stop saying GIF, ToddTube. GIF, 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 GIF. GIF, 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 solder. Solder, GIF. Solder, GIF? No, solder, GIF. Solder, GIF. I'm going to drive 4 miles. I'm going to measure out 3 cups of flour. I'm going to get a pound of apples. I'm going to heat my soldering iron to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, 750 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'm going to make a GIF of me doing all of those things and mail it to your mom. Joe Carpino, thank you for several different super chats. Recursive FPV, thanks for $5 super chat. I've been having a blast putting together the box of goodies you sent me for the March giveaway. I got the hyper low frame together with the Get RC stack. Recursive FPV was the winner of my patron giveaway last month, and that proves that I actually do send the prizes eventually. Cyclimbo says, your mom is with me. She just says GIF. Here's a great meme to demonstrate this situation. That's a great meme. Where'd you grow up, JB? Is that a Tennessee accent? Medrone, my family is from up north. My mother's family's from New York. I grew up in Georgia and currently live in Tennessee. I don't believe I have a Tennessee accent, although if I hang around with Tennesseans long enough, I might start to get one. This is just my accent. It's a JB accent. Steven's Box, thanks for a $5 super chat. What's it mean when a new build takes a really long time for the last 2 beeps? Steven's Box, usually that means that the gyro is taking a long time to initialize. It's not like inherently a problem, although it is a little annoying. As long as the quad flies fine, I wouldn't worry about it. No, this is not a Tennessee accent. I've lived in Tennessee for like 10 years. Let's see. What is a Tennessee accent? I'm trying to think of my neighbors, what they sound like. I don't know what I would say in a Tennessee accent. This is my live stream accent. All right. Whoa, we've caught up on the super chats. Jeff Schubert thinks I sound like I'm from the Midwest. I've never lived anywhere near the Midwest, and my family is also not from the Midwest, so that's just a coincidence, I guess. Isn't Jif a peanut butter? Yes, it is. I do like living in Tennessee, Stephen G. Harry Gamer, thanks for $5 super chat. Jif! I'm not feeling the accent. I'm not feeling accents tonight. Sometimes I can get my brain around an accent. I'm not feeling like doing any. My brain isn't turning on the accent circuit tonight. That smooth cowboy accent. I don't think I have a cowboy accent. That's like Texas. Kevin Turner definitely has a Tennessee accent. Yes, sir, he does. Alrighty. 15 minutes till the end of the stream. Ciati, where are you, dude? Miguel Santiago says my Spanish accent was decent. When did I have a Spanish accent? I don't know when I had a Spanish accent. Netmare No Name says I got the Maytech you suggested. It has a long pause for the last two beeps. Yeah, I mean, Netmire, as long as it flies okay, I wouldn't stress about it. It probably just means the gyro is taking a little while to finish initializing. It could mean that your gyro has a higher than average noise level. If you're really concerned about it, you could ask for an exchange. Like, it shouldn't do that. My Portuguese accent. Oh yeah, I used to try to speak Portuguese. I used to try to speak it. I never had anyone to speak it with. First time you said my name, it was good. Everyone else says Miguel. Miguel. No, it's Miguel, obviously. No, I mean, yeah, no. Miguel, that's just how you say that. Thank you. Caralho. Tiago Guano wants me to speak Caralho. Sounds like a suburban Atlanta accent. That's about right, Andy Dredd. Suburban Atlanta. Not real down in there. Not real down in there. In the south. South. I think it's been a while since I had a Georgia accent. Letlick. Anyway. Carlos Botros says this naked Vista is overheating. Of course it's overheating. The Vista overheats when it's not naked. You make it naked, it's really going to overheat. Right? You go, fly. Fly with it. It shouldn't overheat when the props are blowing air over it. Yeah, of course it's overheating. Have airflow over it. That's the answer. Ghost Branch FPV, I don't believe you ever have a Tennessee accent. I would love to hear that. That was not Spanish, Toady RZ. That was Portuguese. Brazilian Portuguese. Not that continental crap. Sorry, any Portuguese viewers. Leo G, thank you for $5. He wants a full live stream in the voice of Pepe Le Pew. I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't want to offend any French people. Not like that's hard to do. Oh, look. The French are rioting again. Oh, what are they mad about? Bardwell did a live stream in the voice of Pepe Le Pew. It overheats while flying. Oh, you're doomed. Is it in an enclosure, Carlos Botros? Oh, wow. Is that a swear word? Oops. Oops. I guess I shouldn't say random foreign words without knowing what they are, just to show off my accent. Oh, that's not that bad. It's a vulgar word with a variety of meanings and uses. I guess a good word to know. Aerospace Inc. 53, more late night email streams, please. Thank you. Appreciate the donation, Aerospace Inc. I'm going to do those. The thing is, I have to feel like I can spend 3 hours doing email instead of 1 hour. It's literally 3 times slower to do them on the stream, which is fun. It's fun, but sometimes I just want to go to bed. Mike Bergman, Americans shouldn't make fun of the French and their battle prowess. First of all, I believe Napoleon was French, and he was one of the greatest military minds in all of modern history. And the second is that as an American specifically, like, the French totally bailed us out, which I didn't learn in school. I only learned from watching Hamilton. But apparently, the Americans owe the French a great, great debt of thanks. For their assistance. So, yeah. There you go. Napoleon was from near... Napoleon wasn't French? Give me a break. Is that real? This is like arguing with a Belgian over French fries and who invented them. Napoleon, he wasn't French. What? I thought he's not French? Really? Tell me that he wasn't French. He was a French military and political leader. He was Emperor of France. Where was he born? His family was Italian. Where was he born? Republic of... I have to know. Oh, it was conquered by France. The island was conquered by France and incorporated as a province. Oh, wow. Oh, this is complicated. I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. Good to know. We learn things in these streams. Most importantly, the French have an amazing FPV scene, and they do parkour. And that really... Buzzkill points out we made it up to them by saving them in World War I, so we're even. Good point. Oh my goodness, 7 minutes to the end of the stream. Thank you, Gatefather FPV, for a $5 super chat. Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming at 10. He's going to start posting the link if you want to keep watching streams later tonight. Hecdectica, thank you for a $5 super chat. Solder for the XT60 battery leads keeps drying out and semi-melting. What to do? Also, how to isolate components near the solder pad from absorbing heat. The second part, you should have an iron that is hot enough and proper technique that lets you get in and out of the joint before anything heats up and flows, other than the joint. Definitely be using liquid electrical flux or paste, flux paste. But if other things are, like, flowing, you've really overheated the pad. Something is really wrong. I would also make sure that you're using 6337 solder, which has a characteristic that makes it flow and melt and solidify better. And so I would definitely do that. I'm going to guess that your iron isn't hot enough, or maybe the tip of your iron is not heavy enough to quickly heat up the big, heavy XT60 pads. Or you're talking about the battery leads. Maybe you're talking about the wire. Make sure you've got flux on the wire, flux on the pad. You're using leaded solder, 6337, and have a good hot iron so that it heats the pad up without having to sit there for too long. Yeah. Is flux necessary? Yeah. Is additional flux necessary? So rosin core solder has flux already in it, and oftentimes that's enough. But if you're doing a big wires, oftentimes additional flux is needed. And it'll always help. A little bit of... Make sure you're using no clean flux, so it doesn't screw your board up later when you don't clean it, because you won't. If you're like me, you're lazy. Jonathan Schmidt just bought a Mobula 6 HD. It reignited my love for FPV. It flies great, but would you load Project Mockingbird anyway? Jonathan Schmidt, I'm not sure is there a Mockingbird tune for the Mobula 6 HD? The HD is significantly heavier than the Mobula 6. I wouldn't try the same tune between them. If you're happy with how it flies and you're loving it, I would say just keep flying it. I mean, if you do put Project Mockingbird on it, you can always just put it back the way it was by saving you got to save the CLI dump before you start messing with it. Buzzkill, flux can mess up a board. Flux is conductive. If you have a lot of electrical flux like left on the board, when you plug in, it can short circuit and cause problems. If you're using no clean flux, it doesn't seem to have that characteristic. Long Dollar Bill, thank you for a $20 super chat. I make my own flux. It's awesome. I'm thinking about opening an Etsy store and selling it. I think I'll start with free samples. FPV flux. I can't tell if you're joking or not. Three minutes to the end of the stream. Thank you, Word FPV. Thanks back to you. Are you going to make a Baby Hawk HD review, Kayash? Kayash, the Baby Hawk HD is probably awesome. I don't have it. And, I probably am not going to review it just because I probably have other content that I would rather make. So I'm not like in a hurry to do it. And I probably am not going to go out and buy it. If one showed up on my door, I might review it. But especially since the big interest in it has a little bit passed, I might not. Yeah, flux is conductive. I've had I've had a person solder up an ESC. They've got gobs of flux left on it, and then they plug in and psh, it sparks and burns off. Sometimes it kills the ESC, sometimes it doesn't. But no clean flux as long. I mean, I don't know if maybe you put enough of it on, you'd have a problem. I've never had a problem with no clean flux. Why didn't Emacs send me one, Adam Litvin? Probably because for about a year, Emacs just sent me one of every single new quad they made. Tiny Hawk 2, Tiny Hawk Race, Tiny Hawk Freestyle. Every single quad they made, they sent me one. It would just, they wouldn't even ask. They would just show up on my door. And, I didn't want to review 12 different Emacs quads in a year. I was like some of them I was like, oh, this one's really good. This one's really interesting. Others I was like, yeah, I'm not that interested. So, the majority of them that they sent me, I didn't review just because I had other stuff I was working on. And then eventually they probably went, hey, we send Bardwell stuff and he doesn't review it. So they stopped sending me stuff. That's my guess. They make great stuff. I just didn't. I had other things I was working on. Anyway. Yeah, I don't blame them at all. In fact, I'm a little bit relieved. Because they would send me a quad, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is kind of cool, but I don't really have time to review it right now." And then I'd feel bad. I mean, anyway. All right. It is 10 o'clock. Do a giveaway on the quads you don't review. That's exactly what I do, Twin Turbo Stang. I give them away on my Patreon. Guys, it is just coming up on 10 o'clock. I'm going to get out of here and let Aaron Ciotti do his stream. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thanks to everyone who donated in the super chat. Thanks to everybody who commented. Good hanging out with you. I will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. for the news with JB and It's Blunty will be there. We got a whole bunch of new stuff that happened this week to talk about and normal content this week on the channel. That's going to do it, guys. Good evening, everybody. Have a great stream, Ciotti. Bye, Bubby.